Oh, what an exciting world. Satellites, waveguides, lasers, magnetic bubbles, fiber optics, picture phones someday, maybe even in color.
Hello and welcome to Part 3 of Advanced HTML. The button element. The button element was introduced to give us more options for how buttons look, including being able to combine text and an image in a button, like this. The button element allows us to put pretty much any HTML we want inside a button, whereas input type submit only allows plain text. One other option we have for buttons is input type reset. This returns all the form controls back to their default values. I would be very careful about using input type reset. From a UX standpoint, this is considered bad practice. We can also hide form controls using type hidden. We can use this to add values to forms that users can't see. For instance, we can use a hidden field to indicate which page the users were on when they submitted a form. In this example, I threw it into the button element, so there's an extra value that gets sent from the form when somebody clicks the button. So we have some new HTML tags we can use in our forms. Before we get into them, you should note that Internet Explorer 9 and older don't support these at all. Now it's a good time to introduce caniuse.com. This website answers the question, does blank work in X version of this browser? It has all the major browsers, including mobile. So this website will be a good friend to you going forward. HTML5 gives us a way to make a search box with input type search. As usual, we also need a submit button to go with it. Newer browsers add features to the search bar that help with usability. On a Mac, Safari and Chrome will add a little cross inside the search bar after you start typing. You can use this cross to clear the search bar. Sorry, Firefox users. Other special type text input types includes ones for input type tel for telephone numbers, input type URL for web addresses, and input type email for email addresses. The neat part of these last two input types is that certain newer browsers will check to see if the user provided the information in the correct format of a URL or email address. And some smartphones will optimize their keyboard to display the keys you would most likely need when you're entering a URL or email address. Numbers. Input type number allows us to give users a text box in a form so they can enter a number. And if the browser supports this input type, it will also add up and down arrows to the right end of the text box so users can cycle through the numbers, like so. We can add a few attributes that make them even more useful. If we add step and a number, then the cycle will go through in multiples of that number. We can also add max and min and specify what the range of the cycle is, like here. With input type range, supporting browsers will show a horizontal bar with a little slider thingy that your users can move from 0 to 100. We can add the same attributes max and min to define a specific range, like so. And if we use step, then the slider moves in increments of the step number, like so. If we use value and a number, that will set a default position that the slider thingy starts at when you first load the page. Dates and times. There are a bunch of input types for dates and times that we can use also. If your browser supports them, then it will prompt the user to enter a date or time in a specific format, either by directly typing it in or cycling through one day or hour or whatever at a time. Selecting from a drop-down calendar. Color. Next, we can use input type color to allow your user to pick a color, setting a 6-digit hex color as its value. In Chrome and Firefox, it looks really neat. Check this out. Sorry, Safari version 7.03.